Chapter 21 of Devotional Hours with the Bible, Volume 1, by J.R. Miller. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Mary Ann. Chapter 21. Joseph and His Brothers. Read Genesis chapters 42 to 45. It was a startling revelation to the sons of Israel when from the lips of the great ruler of Egypt there fell the words, "I am Joseph." No wonder they could not answer him. No wonder they were troubled at his presence. There had been 7 years of abounding plenty, and then 7 years of famine came on. The famine extended to Canaan, where Jacob and his sons lived. They heard that there was food in Egypt, and the father sent his sons to buy provisions. The men were reluctant to go. The name of Egypt had dread for them. It was to Egypt they had sold their brother. That was more than 20 years ago, but there are some things we cannot forget. Only 10 of the brothers went. Jacob would not trust Benjamin away from himself. Joseph recognized his brothers and dealt harshly with them. Why did he do this? Was it resentment? No. He was proving them to see if they were better men than they were 20-odd years before. They talked in his presence, not knowing that he would understand what they said in Hebrew. We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in that we saw the distress of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Joseph was deeply affected. He turned himself about from them and wept. Why did he not at once make himself known to them? Instead of this, he demanded that one of them should be kept in prison while the others returned home with food for their families. 9 brothers went back to Hebron. At length they appear again before Joseph, Benjamin with them. The governor asked after their father, the old man of whom ye spake. He saw Benjamin, and his heart yearned upon him. He sought his own room to weep, his heart was so full. He asked his brothers to dine with him. Still he did not reveal himself to them. He let them start home. Soon they were surprised by the coming after them of an Egyptian officer, charging them with the theft of the ruler's silver cup. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Dismay seized all the brothers. They rent their clothes and went back. "What deed is this that ye have done?" asked Joseph. There was an outburst of penitence. But the brothers did not renounce Benjamin. They took the guilt upon themselves. Joseph said he could not punish the innocent. "The man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. As for you, get ye up in peace unto your father." Here was the test. Would these 10 men go home and leave Benjamin in the hands of the law? 22 years ago, that is what they would have done. Instead of this, however, we have one of the finest scenes in all history. They would not desert Benjamin. The speech of Judah as he pleads for his brother is one of the noblest pieces of natural eloquence in any literature, sacred or profane. Footnote: Genesis chapter 44, verses 18 to 34. End footnote. No one can read these pathetic words of Judah's and not see that the brothers have been wonderfully changed since that day when they sold another brother into bondage and were deaf to his piteous cries. Their hearts had been softened. Joseph was now satisfied. He saw that they were new men. Grace had been at work in them. They were ready now to stand together to lay the foundation of national life. The time had come for disclosure. Then Joseph could not refrain himself. His emotion had been deep at each meeting, and had been growing in intensity from the first. He had maintained his disguise all along, not for want of love for his brothers, but for their sake. His apparent harshness toward them was not resentment, but love trying them to see if they were still the same in character as when they had sold him, or were now better men. He has put them to the test in various ways, and finds that they are changed men. Their love for Benjamin and their willingness to sacrifice all for him assured Joseph of this. He required no further proof of their penitence. His love for them could now no longer be restrained. Joseph's true nobleness appears in his love for his brothers who had so wronged him. This is the way he repaid their wickedness. Though he lived long before Christ, he showed the mind of Christ in all his treatment of his brothers. We should learn the duty of forgiving those who have done us injury, and yet of seeking at the same time their good. We may also see in Joseph an illustration of the way Christ deals with sinners. On his very cross he prayed for his murderers. In commissioning his disciples, he told them to begin at Jerusalem to offer salvation through his blood. The first men saved were Jerusalem's sinners, men whose hands were red with the blood of their Messiah. Then toward all of us he shows the same spirit of love. To our sins against him his answer is always love, pained, yearning, pleading love. When he had sent away from the room all but his brothers and was alone with them, Joseph looked into their faces and said to them, "I am Joseph." Who can imagine their feelings as these words fell upon their ears? First, there must have been terror mingled with their amazement. Again, all their sin against their brother rose up before them. Here was Joseph, whom they had so cruelly wronged. He was Lord of Egypt, and they were in his power. What would he do with them? 22 years ago they had put him in a pit to die, and then had hastily lifted him out only to sell him as a slave. They had supposed that they were now done with that dreamer. But here they are before him in utterly reversed position. Is it any wonder they stood dumb in the presence of Joseph, that they could not answer him, or that they were troubled? But Joseph's heart was too full to prolong the scene. "Come near to me," he said. "I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt." But he hastened to comfort them. "And now be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life, to preserve you a remnant in the earth, and to save you alive by a great deliverance." Then he said, "So now it is not you that sent me hither, but God." Then he bade them hasten to his father with the news, and to return, all of them, with their father and their families, to dwell in Egypt, to be near him. The wonderful scene closes with Joseph falling upon Benjamin's neck in loving embrace, then kissing all his brothers and weeping with them in the joy of reconciliation. The barriers are all now broken down. Their old sin was forgiven. The long-sundered family was brought together again. Estrangement had been healed by love and peace. His brothers could not answer. They were troubled. No wonder they were troubled. Remember how they had treated him. All the time since, they had carried the bitterness of remorse in their hearts. Their consciences had given them no peace, yet they never thought of meeting Joseph again. Now when they suddenly discovered that this great ruler of Egypt was the very brother they had once sold as a slave, they were terror-stricken. Sins once committed remain terrible facts in our lives ever after. They embitter our days and nights. They make cowards of us. Then we must some day face them all. Joseph sought to allay the distress of his brothers. "Be not grieved," he said to them, "that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life." Of course this did not change their wrong to right, for they had no good intention in selling their brother. But God takes even men's wicked deeds and brings good out of them. It is a most comforting truth that the Lord reigns in this world. All things are under his government. Even Satan's acts God holds in his power, making them in some way work for his own glory. He makes the wrath of men to praise him. The sins of these brothers he used to the preserving of the chosen seed in famine. Out of the wickedness of the Jews in crucifying Christ, he brought salvation for the world. Peter's denial he used to make Peter a truer, nobler man. Paul's thorn, the messenger of Satan to buffet him, he made to be a blessing to the apostle. So it is with all Satan's malice. God takes it and turns its force of evil into power for good. This ought to strengthen our faith in God in the midst of all suffering, and especially when others wrong us. We may commit our wrongs to him who judgeth righteously. It has been said that some of the greatest treasures in heaven will be blunders which God's children have made when trying their best to show their love. The soiled and puckered handkerchief the little girl is trying to hem because she loves her mother has a value away beyond anything a skilled seamstress can do. Many a piece of marred work, marred by one who wanted to help Christ and did her best, will have immeasurable value in God's sight. In looking back over our lives, we see many things we regretted as mistakes, but which now appear to have been the best things we could have done. It seems as if the mistakes were all the while intended to be there, so that thoroughly they have become part of the fabric of our life and work. Joseph said further to his brothers, to comfort them, God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity. It was not you that sent me hither, but God. God's plans run far on. Away back more than a score of years ago, he was preparing for the great famine and arranging occurrences and events so that the chosen family, the family of the covenant, in which was the holy seed, should be well cared for in the great calamity. Providence is the same now as then. God looks far on into the years, and when there is a disaster coming, we may be sure there is always a divine purpose working alongside of it, which will secure the safety of those who trust in God. This ought to be a great comfort and a ground of confidence to us in all times of danger. God has not been ignorant of the coming of the peril. He is not taken by surprise as we are, nor has he neglected to provide in advance such a chain of causes and events as will bring us deliverance and great blessing. We may always trust in the Lord and leave him to order all our ways. It is a great comfort for us to know that God's plan for our life runs on all the time and is never dropped. The troubles we have he takes up and works into the web, weaving them into beauty. The oyster mends its wounded shell with a pearl. So the sorrow of our lives and the hurts others may give, if we let God have his way, he will transmute into pearls of beauty in our life and character. The way to deal with injuries we receive is just to give them into God's hands. If we meddle, we may make the injury permanent, but God can make it a blessing to us. How strong are family ties! Many years had elapsed since Joseph and his brothers had parted, yet the family affection had not been extinguished. Even the cruel wrong they had done to him had not quenched the flame of love in his heart, nor had Joseph's exaltation to high honor chilled his love for his family. In all this world there is nothing more beautiful than the affection that binds together the members of a true family. It endures the sorest tests. Let us cultivate more and more the home loves. Let us be true and faithful to each other, though sundered far, and even though sundered by misunderstanding and wrongdoing. Let us never forget the old home, and let us seek when together to make the home ties so true and so strong that nothing ever can break them. The best place to learn the value of home affection is by the grave of buried love. When the time for reconciliation has gone by forever, then the heart would give all it has to have the bond restored. Says Ruskin, "He who has once stood beside the grave, to look back upon the companionship which has been forever closed, feeling how impotent then are the wild love and the keen sorrow to give one instant's pleasure to the pulseless heart, or atone in the lowest measure to the departed spirit for the hour of unkindness, will scarcely for the future incur that debt to the heart which can only be discharged to the dust." End of chapter 21.